Hi, I'm JJ Conway, and I help hardworking women and a few good men build financial confidence and take ownership of their financial future. I'm cheering you on with education on financial literacy, smart investments, and passive income streams. Welcome to Ladies of Wealth. Time for the question of the day. Time for the question of the day. Time for the question of the day. Let me get something to drink. And again, if you are listening to this as part of the Ladies of Wealth podcast, I encourage you to come live Thursday nights so that you can ask your questions live. We are looking at moving this to the day because I have a really hard time putting my son to sleep on time so I can actually start these broadcasts on time. And B, we don't seem to get as much participation as we used to. I guess it's really hard for me to compete with primetime TV anymore. But we've been doing Thursday nights since 2014. So this wasn't a pandemic business. So I don't know what's changed, but it's okay. Well, we're going to change with it. So let me know what you would like better. It's time for the question of the day. This question actually came from someone I met at TMEA, the Texas Music Educators Association. They have an annual conference every year in San Antonio. And I love going to that conference. And my booth is called Ask the Money Maestro. Okay. My husband is a band director. Most of our colleagues out here are band directors. And so my booth is Ask the Money Maestro. And I had such a great time answering questions. This one, I felt like it applies to more than just musicians, so I want to share it with you today. Okay, these folks have asked, they moved to Katy, Texas, and opened up a music lesson studio. Okay, other places I've lived, I have easily filled classes, but it's been 2 years and I'm having trouble getting students. So that was the question that this person came to me with. And what I'm going to share with you today will work not just for Texas, but many southern, rural, or sparsely populated areas. Now, Katy isn't exactly sparsely populated, right? Because Houston's grown so much that Katy is basically a suburb on the west side of town. You know, like if you look at the map, it's like Houston, and then this little blip of Katy, right? And there's other towns that are like that too, right? There's other towns that are like that too. They're pocketed around in there. But like, you know, you look on the map and it's like top, bottom, and east side, it's all Houston. But Houston is not incorporated, Katy. It's its own town with its own government and its own independent school district. And it still has those small town rice farming roots, okay? So here's the thing I've learned about small towns in Texas, Louisiana, especially communities that are deep in agriculture and or were originally based in agriculture, okay? If they don't know you, your mama, your grandma, and your great grandma, it's going to take a lot of work for them to buy from you. If you look different than the main populace of town, it's going to take a lot of work for them to buy from you. If you look like the main populace of the town, but don't speak their primary language, it's going to take a lot of work for them to buy from you. If you have a strong accent or anything else about you that signifies different and outsider, it's going to take a lot of work for them to buy from you. Not fair, but it is what it is. And rather than complain about what is, I prefer to actually do something about it. So I asked what this person was doing because they present majority, but you can tell from their accent that they are not from this country and that or that their roots are not from this country. They may well be American, but their roots are not from this country. And here's what they said. They've done some advertising. Good. They've gone to networking events. Good. Now, if they were in a different part of the Houston metropolitan area, that might be enough, but they're not. I mean, think about it. This town is so protective of its people that they fought hard to remain their own independent city as Houston grew up all around them, okay? So they like the way things are. And while they say they are open, I mean, their websites say we're open to growth and success. they are going to vet that growth and success first to make sure it's consistent with what they want for their town, which means you can't just open up a shop, hang up a shingle, do some mailers, and expect the floodgates to open like they might elsewhere. And I don't say that with any disrespect, all right? Because I've been there. I was a free community financial planner from 1998 to 2013. That's 15 years. I helped people get out of debt for no cost. Taught workshops, spoke at events, a lot of one-on-ones, all free. But y'all, when the government sequestration happened in 2013 and the civilian federal workers in my agency lost 20% of their pay, they didn't get that money back. Ooh, I realized I could not depend on Uncle Sam for my livelihood. And so I transitioned to fee for service financial planning and education. And if you haven't lived in the DC area, they call it the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, right? That part of the world, let me tell you something about people in that part of the world. Almost everybody had a federal job, one or two businesses they were working on the side, and then a nonprofit. They worked hard. And they didn't need to know if your grandma made the best strawberry rhubarb pie to know if they wanted to do business with you. All they needed to know is, do you have what I need to take my life to the next level? And do you have what I need to make the next profit? Do you have what I need to push my nonprofit where it needs to go? That's all they cared about. Now, the longer I stay in the South, the more I understand vetting people through knowledge of their kin and whether they make a good strawberry rhubarb pie, okay? But that's not what I was used to. So in the DC area, the DMV, I put a $200 class out there on Meetup and Eventbrite, and it would fill up with a bunch of people I didn't know quickly. Rinse and repeat. Man, y'all, I thought I was in business. But you're actually not in business when everything's going well like that. It's not really business until you've learned how to weather some storms. I became a realtor in 2007. Guess what happened right after I got my real estate license? Who remember what happened after I got my real estate license? Oh, y'all, I got my little salesperson license and I joined the board of realtors so I could call myself a realtor. And guess what happened? The real estate market crashed. Ooh, and that was a tough time to learn how to sell houses. But let me tell you two things that market crash did. First of all, it weeded out all the people who weren't any good because they just got their little certificate. They put a house on the listing and it would just sell tomorrow, and they didn't have to do anything. It weeded all those people out. And number two, it taught me how to be very, very good. So good that our team routinely signed 7% commissions, which was higher than anybody else. And we were worth it. Now, if you got a good realtor, let me give a plug for all my fellow realtors out there. I don't have a license anymore, but for those of you who think a realtor doesn't do anything, let me tell you something. A good realtor behind the scenes is working hard to get your deal to the closing table. And they make the negotiations that you don't know about. They make the phone calls you don't know about. They are working with the bankers and with this person and that person and the trades. And they're doing a whole lot of behind the scenes thing. They are worth every penny. All right. So what I'm saying all that to say is I understand that starting your business with some adversity is actually a good thing for the longevity and sustainment of your dream. Because if you can make it work during the tough times, it will thrive abundantly during the good times. So I really identify with this music school director. I went from somewhere that was real profitable to rural area that wasn't very profitable. And B, I have built successful businesses in times of economic struggle, which is what he's going through right now. What do people give up in time of economic struggle? They give up all the extras. So if I have to choose between eggs and music lessons, okay. My husband's a band director and both of my boys are very talented musicians. We're probably going to eat grass. No, that didn't come out right. We're gonna probably eat homemade bread and pasta and put the boys in music class. But for the average American family, if I gotta choose between artsy fartsy and food on the table, I'm choosing food on the table. Okay, so I really identify with this music school director, and here is what I recommended. First of all, I recommended shifting energy from marketing, which is enticing people to come to you, and into prospecting, which is going out and finding the clients. Okay. So they didn't say whether their school was for children or adults or both. And as we talked, they seemed really receptive. So I didn't need to ask that. But for anybody listening tonight live or today on the podcast, I'm just going to explain a little bit about both for completeness sake, if that's okay. Let's start with kids, okay? So again, marketing is you know, Google ads, signs, mailers. You're trying to entice people to come to you, but what we want to start, what we want to do is go out and find the people that need us, okay? So to entice parents to try a new vendor for their kiddos, you kind of first got to figure out where they are, what they need, and what their pain points are. So in this situation, what I recommended was that they do a search on homeschool groups like parent forums. I'm sure there's a Moms of Katie kind of Facebook group. I mean, we at Stephenville have like 5 or 6 different mom groups. I got kicked out of half of them when I posted about the loan repayments, but you know, we have them. I'm in the Weatherford Mafia Moms group, so you know that was very entertaining and very active. You want to talk about mama bears who love their kids? You find you a group like that, right? And I'm actually, I don't know how it happened, but Facebook somehow made me the admin of a homeschool group. And I see homeschool parents and co-ops where I live who welcome providers of extracurriculars such as music, especially if they want to homeschool, but they don't have that talent. So then everybody gets together in a little co-op, and you got this talent, and they've got this talent, and they got that talent. And together everybody's educating the children, right? So you look for those groups, and then you give first. You build relationships with the people in those forums before you start asking for their business. You answer their questions, you get to know them, you get to learn how you can help them before you advertise. And then when you do advertise, you make sure that you do it in the right place and at the right times. You'll also start to find out about venues and events that cater to children, and then you can set up booths and offer coupons for a free lesson. Or you could set up a free lunch and learn at your music school and advertise it to the moms in those groups. Now, that might feel like a lot of time, money, and expense, but I'm going to tell you right now, you can get a lot further spending $100 catering lunch for local moms than $100 of Google or Facebook ads on a population that doesn't know, like, or trust you yet. And again, I'm talking about somebody who moved their business from a very, very high density area to a very low, to a not very, because Katie's not low density, but much lower density and strong southern rural roots. Okay, even though the city is not rural anymore, strong roots. Excuse me, I'm gonna sit here. Now, attracting adult students, that's kind of, you know, you can find the same tactics if you find Facebook groups for people who want to learn this or want to learn different things. But one of the biggest things you'll want to do is get involved in the community. And they had joined the chamber, and I think they had joined the Rotary or something like that. But you don't want to just join. You don't want to just get on the roster and then send out, you know, if your chamber lets you do a spam all once a year, you know, you want to get involved. You want to get involved with the chamber, involved with the Rotary, or any other causes that speak to your heart. And you know, you want to go to the meetings, you want to go to the dinners, you want to volunteer, you want to introduce yourself, you want to get to know people and find out who misses music in their lives. You know, some people used to, you know, music was an outlet for them. And since the pandemic, you know, they haven't picked back up music, or they haven't realized how it's missing. Figure out their pain points and then tease that out. You know, maybe you could offer, maybe you could get to know people and find out that there's a lot of adults that would like music lessons, but they feel like they don't have time. And so you could offer music lessons for busy professionals, you know. There's somebody else I met at TMEA, and I need to get their information because I don't want to misspeak, but they have certain style of lessons and things. And I was like, well, what do you do about everybody else that calls themselves teaching something on YouTube? And she said, they're our feeders. People get frustrated with them and they come to us. And I was like, oh, I was so impressed. Oh, I was so impressed. I can't wait to interview them, y'all. But maybe, maybe you could come up with something like, well, you've tried YouTube University. Now try something that really works. Okay. I'm not a copywriter, so I know that was rough, but you can put that into chat GPT and play with it, right? Another way to prospect, if you're okay with being a little sneaky, is to visit a big box music store in the Metroplex and learn about their lesson program. And then craft your value proposition to show why you are better. Now, I went to Katie a week ago, but I didn't look for music stores. I went to my friend's daughter's house and then we went to our cruise. So I don't know how many music stores they have out there, how many places are doing lessons. If it's a small sample set, you may not want to try that in Katy, right? But Houston is huge, right? Go on the other side of town and you can find somebody to observe. You want to go in and see how they run their lessons and who provides their lessons. And you're like, but I have my own music school. I know, but you're not doing this to help benefit your music school. You're doing this so you can go back to Katy. And if there's any music stores in Katy, now if there aren't, then this may not work. But if there's music stores in Katy, you see what the big box stores in Houston are doing. And you come back to the stores in Katy and say, hey, if you offer lessons, here's what I can do for you. Or if they don't offer lessons, now you can partner with them to be their lesson provider. See how this works. And I know none of these things are ideal at first, right? But they start the process. You got to remember, nobody knows you. When you move your business to a new town, if you're moving to a tight-knit community like that, they don't know you. It's going to take a while for them to trust you. And depending on who you are, I mean, I'm not even going to lie to you. There are some people who will move their businesses into certain communities, and that community will never, ever buy anything from you. But you'll never know if you don't try. And you may have to serve other communities. You may have to make heavier use of online. You may have to go an hour away. I was talking with a lady the other day who has a business down here in Stephenville. And I asked her, where do you live? And she says, well, I live in Weatherford. And I was like, oh, really? That's a bit of a drive for this business. She's like, well, this is just one of my 5 businesses. And the other ones won't make any money down here because no one will buy from a woman. Which, as a woman business owner, that is not what I wanted to hear. But her words carried weight with me. And so you want to put yourself in a position where people can get to know, like, and trust you, and eventually refer business to you. Maybe there's a music store or a music school program that wants to offer what you teach, but they haven't found someone who can be consistent. Build a relationship with them and then offer to come alongside them and help them meet this need. By shifting our energy away from marketing, again, enticing them to come to us, and prospecting, going out and finding them, it doesn't mean you don't market, okay? You still market, but now you can market more effectively. So if you serve primarily children, you don't want to send postcards to retirement communities unless you're thinking you're gonna send postcards that are tailored to grandparents, right? You might send them first to bread and butter family neighborhoods, but you don't want to just send a postcard to bread and butter family neighborhoods unless you've had an opportunity to get to know some of these families and see what their pain points are. Again, if people are choosing between food on the table and, let's make it even more real. People are choosing between food on the table, sports lessons, artsy lessons. Unless that child's got a huge artistic potential, chances are they're choosing the sports lessons. How do you get in there? What do you say? What do those families need to hear? You're only going to learn that by getting out and getting to know them, okay? And one cool thing about communities with strong values, guess what? The old school tactics still work, such as door knocking, door hangers, lumpy mail. businesses post like business postcards, businesses that let you post your postcard, right? I'm going to recommend, and I need to do a better job of this myself, right? So I'm doing a better job. I need to do an even better job, but always have some business cards, rack cards, or things like that, or even pens. I've started leaving pens, y'all. So we have these ladies of wealth pens. There's these ladies of wealth pens. If you want one, give me your address and I'll send you one. All right. We've got these ladies of wealth pens, and in places that have pens, like the post office and other places like that, I've just started leaving some because people always need pens and they're always stealing the pens that are there. So hey, here you go. Now I haven't left them at the mail place because she's got her own pens and I like her, so I don't want to disrupt the business. But there are a lot of places that use pens, and it's just a bunch of random pens from different places, and so why not be from your business, right? But when you come across a business that will let you leave a business card, or the cork boards in the gas station. I've been driving cross country, put my business card on a cork board, and actually got business from it. Even even the old fashioned drop box, y'all. Now, for those of you who are younger, you may not have noticed this, but now that I'm telling you, you're going to see it everywhere, okay? Those drop boxes or fish bowls for business cards, win lunch for 10 people, or win this trip, or free lesson. You see those in local businesses. People fill out forms or they drop their business card in and they enter to win something. It could be lunch at the restaurant that lets you set up the box or the bowl, and it can be very effective. I've done this, and the person who wins, they bring their friends and they eat their free meal while I give them a sales presentation. The last one I did was when Big O's was still here, and I did a presentation in their little side room it's kind of like a little alcove that they had for like 8 people. It honestly works better than anything else when you're in that kind of a community. They bring their friends, they eat their free meal, I give them a sales presentation. And I'll admit it probably works better for financial planning than for a music school, but you get the idea. I've actually never had a business tell me, no, I can't set up a bowl to buy people their food. I've never had that. Now, I have had people say, no, you can't set up a bowl to win an Amazon gift card or something like that. I've had a lot of success with Amazon gift cards, but sometimes businesses don't want that. But a restaurant, I've never had them say, no, you can't buy my food. It brings them more business. Okay. So you could do something like that. Maybe a free month of lessons. I don't know. But be very judicious and targeted with your marketing dollars. And if you run Facebook ads, make sure you're using targeted audiences to only show your ads to people who have expressed interest in the music lessons. Okay. I know social media can be daunting, but you can have those inspirational videos branded with your logo and post one a day. You don't even have to do the speaking. You could do the speaking, you could make your own videos, but you don't even really have to anymore. A lot of channels are built, and I just ordered some. A lot of channels are built using these little snippets that are not even theirs. Okay. I hope this helps you establish your business, and that the next TMEA, they'll come by my booth and tell me how amazing they'll do. And if you put these comments into use for you, if you put these strategies into use for you, I hope you'll let me know how it's going, and I hope it will be going well. All right, I was going to do a time tested success strategy, but we're already an hour and 40 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the night. We'll try and do this again in the morning. And I know I always say that and I never do, but this time I really need to, because I'm backed up on the lessons, because none of them ran while I was gone for a couple of weeks, cruise and other things that we were doing. All right. But with that, I'm going to sign off for today. I'm JJ Conway. Thank y'all for being on. Next time, we're going to talk about leading at home. It's a time-tested success strategy that is part of your overall strategies for success, doing what the best do and having the same success that they have. Y'all take care and be blessed. If y'all haven't seen the New Ladies of Wealth page, please go out there and see the New Ladies of Wealth page. And you can leave me, you can apply to speak. You can leave me a voicemail. Like, you can just click a button. You don't even have to use a phone. You don't have to give me your number. You just leave it, click, and say your thing and click. You don't even have to give me your name or your email or none of that. You just boop, do it. Okay. And you can ask your question the traditional way with a form, and you can give a review. I think I took the reviews down because I had too many things. You can do your ask question. You can take a class. You can do all kinds of things, y'all, on the ladiesofwealth.com. Okay. I do want to remind everybody about our group coaching. So if you're listening to us on the Ladies of Wealth podcast, I encourage you to join us Thursday nights again. Get your questions answered at no cost with each class. If you want to get your questions answered in a more private environment, you can join our group coaching program for $49 a month. I am currently not taking any more one-on-one clients because I'm already full of one-on-one clients, and you know, I had one slip in on me last year when I wasn't taking anybody, and then I opened it up and got some new ones, and then I closed it back. I think we've locked that down because when people slip in like that, I don't necessarily have the capacity to serve them with the excellence that I want. So we try not to open it up unless I know I can serve you, and give you what you paid for. And I do my best with everything that I do, but like I don't want that extra stress. My family wants their mom. So we really put a limit on it. But anybody can come to group coaching. And usually, to be honest with you, usually we've only got about 4 or 5 people in there, maybe one or two. Some days we got one or two. Like there's been days where it's one or two people, and each one of those ladies gets like half an hour of personalized coaching because that they would have paid $500 for, but they're the ones who chose to show up. They invested their time into themselves and they got the blessing. So you can get the blessing too. You can go to jjclink.com/group. jjclink.com/group. Don't forget to like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and ask your question at ladiesofwealth.com.